Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. I'm your host, Pedraza, and today we are talking all about binders. This is a topic that I actually really love to talk about because it really is a cornerstone of functional protocols, functional medicine, detox protocols. It's binders. And I find that it can often be something that is not very well understood, or people just don't know how to use them. So if you've ever heard about binders or wondered how they work, when to use them, how to incorporate them into your routine, all the things about binders, this episode is for you. I'm going to be breaking all of it down today. What binders are, the most common types, how to use them, when to use them, their benefits, and really just tips for incorporating them into your life effectively, the most effective way possible. So first, let's just start with the basics. So what is a binder? If you've never heard of the term binder before, you've probably heard of some of the specific ones I'm going to talk about today, and you just didn't know that they were binders. So binders are these substances that basically work like magnets in the body. They literally bind, hence the name, bind to toxins, heavy metals, harmful substances, and in your digestive system, it helps remove them through your stool. So you poop them out. They're often used in detox protocols. I use them on all of my detox protocols to help your body's ability, its natural ability to eliminate waste, eliminate toxins, and just reduces your toxic burden. And so we want to have binders in the protocol so that we're not just recirculating toxins back in the body, which is what happens often. And because we're exposed to toxins on a daily basis, it's literally impossible to avoid all 100% toxins altogether, right? This is from pollution, from foods, from processed foods, from cleaning products to things that we're eating our food out of, your water, right? It's impossible. We're exposed to toxins all the time. And over time, these toxins can accumulate in your body and lead to symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, bloating, chronic illness, just chronic disease in general, right? And so binders are what helps to lighten that toxic load so that your body can function more efficiently, more effectively, and helps just lessen that toxic burden. I know multiple episodes I've talked about the toxic burden and what that means. And like I said a second ago, it's impossible for us to completely avoid all toxins and being exposed to things on a daily basis, but we can do our part to help your body process those in a better way. And I know sometimes too, people, if I've had clients if they've gone out of town and maybe they drank more than they wanted to, or they ate and they're like, I don't even know what was in the food I've been eating for the past week. It's sometimes it can just be something good to just kind of help cleanse the body and just help your bodies. Our bodies naturally have detoxifying capabilities, but it's just helping it do that more effectively, more efficiently. So binders are super critical for reducing your toxic load, supporting your overall health, especially when you're working through a detox protocol or you have specific health concerns you want to address. So let's talk about some of the most common ones and how to use them. So each binder has really unique specific properties. So choosing the right one really does matter. And it depends on your needs. It depends on the purpose, why you're doing it, what you're trying to bind to, right? And also sometimes it's about the logistics of it all. Like I've had clients, they're messaging me in Voxer asking like, well, I have to take this, and then this one says to take 30 minutes apart from this, but then I have to take it apart from it. So sometimes just logistically, it's, what's the easiest one that you're not taking supplements all day long because you have to spread things out and avoid medications or. So let's start with, so I have 7 that I want to talk about. First is activated charcoal. You've probably heard of this one before. And I love activated charcoal. Activated charcoal, I have a bottle of it I keep in my cabinet at all times. Generally, it's a very good, just general binder for detox, for gas, for bloating, upset stomach, and maybe like if you have acute toxin exposure, think like food poisoning, you feel like you're getting an upset stomach. It's literally like it sounds, but it's very porous, but it traps the toxins and chemicals in its little porous structure so that they can't be absorbed by your body. So this one, and I recommend all my clients get this too, just to have on hand, because if you do feel like you're getting kind of upset stomach or bloating, especially bloating, gas, bloating, feeling like maybe a sour stomach, or you're feeling like I know I've used it before, if like, oh, I'm feeling kind of nauseous if you ate something or whatever, right? That can be really helpful for that. Now, the thing with activated charcoal, and I'll talk about some like best practices and side effects in a minute. But the thing that you want to remember about activated charcoal is that because it is very poor, it literally sucks everything in that's around it. So you can't take it with other medications. You shouldn't be taking it with around any other supplements because it can and will reduce their effectiveness. So we have to be mindful about charcoal. And then two, it's not something you want to take like all the time forever, right? There's some binders that I have my clients take that are like a lot of these mixed together. It's multiple binders all in one. And activated charcoal is one of the ingredients, but it's for a specific time frame. Because the other thing about charcoal, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I'll say it now anyway, is it can cause constipation. So just keep that in mind. And again, I'll talk about best practices and kind of side effects in a second, but let's move on to bentonite clay. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted maybe a week or so ago about this thing I've incorporated into my skincare routine last year. I started doing this last year with bentonite clay. Bentonite clay is so interesting to me because there's so many uses for it. And it's just so there, and there are actually a ton of studies. There are, I think at this point, the last time I did kind of study and research on it, it's like 2,500 scientific papers just talking about bentonite clay. So there's a lot of study around clay. This is one of those things that was used thousands of years ago, like in ancient times. They knew about the benefits of bentonite clay. And it's best for heavy metals and environmental toxins. And you can use it topically, like I was talking about in my Instagram story. I was showing how you can do it as a mask. And so the brand that I like to use for my salt, Redmond also makes this clay. It's in this big tub, and it lasts forever because you really don't need to use that much. You just mix it with water and you can use it as a mask. But because it is this binder, you can also take it internally, and it helps with heavy metals and environmental toxins. So how it works is it has a negative charge, so it attracts positively charged toxins and it helps eliminate them from your gut. So you can mix it with water and just drink it on an empty stomach. Sometimes you can get it in capsules. So a couple of the binders I recommend for my clients is in a capsule, but like I said, it's multiple binders in one. And bentonite clay a lot of times is with some of the other ones because it does help so much with heavy metals and some environmental toxins. And this is another one of those. So if you've ever done the Rogers Hood apothecary, if you check her out on Instagram, that's typically my go-to uh, gut cleanse, like detox, parasite cleanse. I couldn't think of the word. Parasite cleanse after I've traveled or if I've gone internationally. I typically do it once or twice a year, or if I've traveled, I'll do it right after travel. But she has this kind of gut starter. I forget the name of it, but it's this starter that you do before you do the parasite cleanse. And it's bentonite clay, psyllium husks, a couple other things that mix together, and you just mix it in water, you put some lime. It tastes like death. Like I'm not gonna lie, it tastes and smells like you open it up and it's god awful smell. It's pretty bad. But after the first couple, and you do it for a week, and after the first couple of days, you're like, okay, and you can. I just like literally just chug it, hold my nose and chug it. But the bentonite clay, I say this because I like in it. I feel like the last time I did the parasite cleanse, I do feel like. I don't know. I feel like it did affect the efficacy of the cleanse. So anyway, but it helps with heavy metals, environmental toxins, and it's best taken on an empty stomach, at least for best results. So if you're going to do it and if you're going to drink it, you can do it kind of how she has you do it. And it putting the lime juice in it just makes it a little bit more palatable. But like I said, hers, because it's mixed with other things, it tastes horrible. The clay by itself isn't that bad. So you can just put a little bit in water, mix it together, put a little lime juice in it, just chug it, and that's really the best way to take it. Or you can find it in capsules. The next one I want to talk about is chlorella, which you've probably heard about. It's bright green, and it's also good for heavy metal detox, especially mercury, which is important because mercury is one of those when I'm running HTMAs. I mean, it's literally on every single HTMA, but it's one of those that's so commonly elevated. So if you're looking for help with mercury detox, chlorella can be really helpful. So chlorella binds to heavy metals and helps eliminate them through your stool like all the others, but it's rich in chlorophyll, which is why it's so bright green. So it's really great for just an overall detoxifier. It helps with it's a good for like cellular health and antioxidant properties. Chlorella is a really powerful, it's one of those superfoods. You can find chlorella, you can find the powder. It's bright green powder. You can find in these little like little not pills is not the word I'm looking for, but they're little, it's like a little pill, but it's, I can't think of the word, but it's just like a little round pill you can swallow. You can find it mixed in things, but this is one, and we'll talk about best practices. I'll talk a little more about that, but this is one that's good just to have, all the time, something just because it is so rich in chlorophyll. It has so many healing properties, so many antioxidant properties. So chlorella is a good one. Zeolite is another one that I use a lot in my protocols. And this is best for a deep detox of heavy metals. Ammonia is another one, helps with when there are a lot of heavy metals in the body. Now, zeolite acts like a sieve and it captures toxins while still allowing beneficial minerals to stay in the body. So I like zeolite because unlike activated charcoal, which can bind to minerals, this one doesn't. So, and the other one I'm going to talk about is humic and fulvic acid. Those two, in my opinion, those are my favorite ones when we're logistically trying to find a good binder and you don't have to worry about, well, I have all these other supplements I need to take. And. So zeolite is, here's the thing with zeolite, because there have been over the past, I don't know. I mean, for me, it was just kind of learning over the past year, but I think the studies have been over the past handful of years. There are some studies out there about poor quality zeolite and potentially causing high levels of things like aluminum in the body. So when you're looking for zeolite, the thing is, I mean, this is true for all of them, but especially with zeolite, you really want to look for high quality purified zeolite for safety and I mean just for overall efficacy as well. My favorite brand of zeolite. Now, this is a two for here because I do like Dr. Shades is typically the brand that I use. It's Quicksilver is the brand actually. It's not Dr. Shades is another uh supplement. But Quicksilver Scientific is one, but the one that I love the most is with Vicon. And if you've ever worked with me before, you know that Vicon is the brand of minerals that I use for my clients. They are the ones that I work with that build the custom protocol. When you do your HTMA, I do the HTMA test and we create a custom protocol based on your results. And they have, I really believe that she has the best quality. And and she does so much science to back up the stuff that she uses. And so I trust that brand like with everything. So that one in Vicon, you have to be a practitioner. So if you ever want to order some of those, just let me know and you can order it. You can just send me an email and you can order just the zeolite. And it comes in a tub. It's the pouch comes in a tub and it lasts forever. With the Quicksilver, that zeolite is a spray. So you just spray it on your mouth. And that's the thing that there's kind of mixed reviews on liquid zeolite versus like the powdered zeolite. And a lot of the studies kind of show a preference for the powdered zeolite in terms of safety, efficacy, quality of it. So I've been kind of leaning more that way with the Vicon zeolite and having my clients use that. But I do like Quicksilver Scientific. That is a really good brand. And they do also do a lot of scientific studies around all of their supplements and everything. So anyway, I trust that brand too. But just keep in mind that you really want to do your research when looking for zeolite. Next, I want to talk about some fiber-based binders, things like psyllium husks. And psyllium was something that I mentioned that in that little pre-gut thing when I do the Rogers Apothecary parasite cleanse, psyllium husks are in there. And you can find psyllium husks, right? A lot of high fiber packaged foods have psyllium in them, right? It helps with the gut. It's just kind of like a bulker fiber to help and just push things out. So this is more for like gentle detox and just overall gut health. And you can add this, right? You can find like benefiber, is it benefiber? Right? Just you can find it just in the store and on the regular I don't want to say it's on the health food, maybe it's on the health food aisle, but things that are kind of like helping you go, not that it's a going to make you, it's not a laxative, but it can help you go. It just kind of bulks up your stool so that you can push things out. So gentle detox, overall gut health, it's not going to absorb anything necessarily, but it can help with the ability to go. Because that's the other thing. If you're taking binders and you're not pooping, then you're not doing anything, right? You still have to get it out. So these, I like this and having, and you can do other fiber-based. There's other fiber-based binders or just high fiber foods in general. Just help to sweep the digestive tract and really support overall elimination because these things go hand in hand. We can't have the binders and not be able to eliminate properly. So we want to be able to put both of those together. The next one I want to talk about is modified citrus pectin. This is one I've been experimenting on myself over the past couple months. I haven't been super consistent with it, so I want to be more consistent so I can get a better overall picture of it. But there is a lot of studies about modified citrus pectin, and it's literally what it sounds. So citrus pectin is found in things like apples, but this has been modified to have specific properties to help with detoxification. And this is one of the best detox agents for heavy metals, and it also improves gut health. A lot of the studies are showing that it can help with things like inflammation, cellular health, mitochondrial health. So there's a lot of overall benefits to this besides the fact that it's a really incredible binder. Now, what I'm using, and I do recommend modified citrus pectin for a lot of my clients with specific things. So if I'm looking at an HMA and there's specific high heavy metals like aluminum, uranium, some other specific ones, then I'm going to recommend modified citrus pectin. And this one is cool because it really is gentle enough for daily use and can be taken long term. So this is one of those there's a lot of scientists who have studied this that have brands that they make the modified citrus pectin and they take it all the time. So it's one of those that's safe enough to use all the time. It's not, it's not like activated charcoal. It's going to bind to other minerals and things in your body like that. So this is one that can be taken long term and you can find it in powder form. They have like flavored powders too with like lime or citrus or something, or you can get it in a capsule. So it just kind of depends on, your preference. But that one is, I really do like that's also this one. I keep saying that's one of my favorites, but I really do love that one. This one, the next one, the last one I talk about, humic and fulvic acid. This one is really my all-time favorite. I can say that. This is my number one. Only because it's so easy to take. And humic and fulvic acid, these are two different things. Humic acid and fulvic acid are two different things, but they come from they're sourced similarly. So I just put them together. A lot of times you'll find them together. Really helpful for heavy metal detox, for cellular health, and really to optimize nutrient absorption and as a really powerful antioxidant. Now, if you go back around episode 220-ish, I can't say that's the exact episode, but you will hear me talk about humic and fulvic acid in one of those episodes. And this is one of the brands that I use for my clients, Cellcore. And if you've worked with me, then you know Cellcore. They're I want to say almost all of their supplements have humic and fulvic acid, and it's all about this carbon technology, not therapy, carbon technology to help with the detoxification, the cellular health, the nutrient absorption, all that. So these are humic and fulvic acid are these natural compounds that are basically from decomposed plant material. So you find it like in the ground, right? And it binds to heavy metals, it binds to toxins, and it helps support elimination, but it also helps the absorption of minerals, the absorption of nutrients. So it's kind of this multi-purpose binder. The thing that I love about it the most, really, is the ease of use, which I mentioned a second ago, because you can take this, you don't have to worry about taking it with or without food because it's not going to bind to other nutrients. So you can take it anytime, any day. And so for a lot of my clients, if they're on medications, they're taking other supplements that have to be taken away from other supplements. This one is so great because it's like you just take whenever you want and it's you don't have to worry about it binding to anything else. So for this one, kind of similar point to the zeolite, you really want to look for the high quality one without contaminants because the purity of it really is critical for its effectiveness. It's so Cellcore, I mentioned that brand. Cellcore is a great brand. You have to have a patient code to order from that. So if you've never worked with me before, just send me a message and I can send you a link and a patient code to order. Once you have the patient code, you can order whatever you want. And the quality of the Cellcore supplements is just you really can't beat it. I mean, I can't say enough about them. But the other one that I like is the podcast episode that I talked about is Ascent Nutrition. Ascent. I'll put that in the show notes. You can go see. And he has a humic fulvic acid blend. And all of his stuff, really all of his supplements are great because he's really big on sourcing and where he sources this stuff from. And it really is top notch, high quality. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes if you want to go check that one out too. But humic and fulvic acid are just so, and this is another one of those kind of like the modified citrus pectin that you can take forever. Like you could take it just as a regular part of your supplement protocol and it's not hurting anything, right? So keep in mind, remember that each binder has a specific part. And this is not an extensive list. There are other binders out there, but these are just some of the most common ones and the most common ones that I use. Choosing the right one really is going to depend on your goals, whether it's heavy metal detox or it's gut health or it's just overall toxic elimination, or you just want to make sure we're picking the right one for the right goal. So let's talk about best practices because this is also important, knowing timing and just monitoring, if there's symptoms that come about. So taking them correctly is crucial to getting the most out of them. So these are just general best practices, just some tips for the ones we talked about. So for timing, most binders are best taken on empty stomach. I'll talk specifically in a second about timing. At least a couple hours, 1 to 2 hours away from food, supplements, medication, right? You want to give it time to get in there and do its thing without binding to other things. And start slow. And this is true for any supplement protocol, but you want to start with a small dose and then gradually increase, right? We call that titration. We want to titrate up to the full dose. Some people can experience detox symptoms, some people don't. Some people don't experience anything at all, but it's best to start slow and rather than just going too fast and then you feel, like crap. Hydration is crucial to life, but especially during a detox protocol because some of the binders can cause constipation. You really want to make sure you're drinking plenty of water, remineralizing with electrolytes, all the things to make sure you keep things moving. Like I said a second ago, if you're not eliminating, if you're not pooping, then your detox is not doing anything. And then monitor your symptoms too. If you start feeling worse, then back down, right? It could be that your body's releasing toxins too quickly. So just adjust the dose, back down, maybe take a couple days off and then go back and start at a smaller dose. So let's talk about specific timing for specific binders. For activated charcoal, always take it on an empty stomach. Always, 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 always. At least 2 hours, and this is a big one, at least 2 hours away from food, supplements, medication. So this is one that like it literally will absorb anything that's in your stomach, which is the point of it, right? But you just want to make sure you're not taking medications or supplements, or it's just right. You're just not getting anything out of those. So it can bind to all of those things. Bentonite clay, best taken on an empty stomach, at least an hour. You could say 1 to 2 hours, at least an hour before or after eating or taking other supplements. This is similar to like activated charcoal. I really don't feel it's as potent as activated charcoal in terms of absorbing everything, but it does bind to substances. It doesn't discriminate, right? It's going to bind to anything that's in there and it can interfere with nutrient absorption. So bentonite clay and activated charcoal, you want to take away from other supplements and food. Chlorella can be taken with or without foods. It just depends on your preference. And because it has so many nutrients in it, it supports detox, it supports cellular health, it has beneficial vitamins and minerals. So it doesn't interfere with absorption. You could take chlorella with whatever, it doesn't matter. Zeolite. This is another one best taken on an empty stomach, ideally in the morning or in between meals. And really, it's the point of this one too is just to maximize that binding capacity, right? We don't want to have it compete with nutrients from food or other supplements. So best taken on an empty stomach. And you don't have to wait 1 or 2 hours, but just waiting a little while before eating or doing a little while after eating is going to be best. For fiber-based binders, like I talked about, things like psyllium husk, this is best taken before meals with plenty of water because we also don't want it to make us bloated. That's the other thing that can happen. And I'll talk about some side effects in a second. But with these fiber-based binders, a lot of times it can cause bloating, especially if we're not taking enough water, if you're doing too much too fast, because it's just basically straight fiber. So these really do help, like I said, it helps sweep the digestive tract. So it's more for overall gut health So we just want to make sure that we're getting enough water to help it do its job. Modified citrus pectin, best taken on an empty stomach at least 30 minutes before meals or 2 hours after. So you want to give your stomach a chance to digest food if you're doing it after. Best really is like 30 minutes before a meal. You don't have to wait too long, but again, you want to get in your stomach and kind of let it do its thing so it's not binding to food or anything else. And then the humic and fulvic acid, as I've already mentioned, can be taken anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter. And I love this as a flexible option. So I just one of my favorites. Okay, so when to use binders? I mentioned this a second ago, but I feel like it's an important thing to note here. During a detox protocol, so if you're doing a liver cleanse, if you're doing a parasite cleanse, a parasite protocol, heavy metal detox, when my clients are doing the mineral part, the mineral balancing part of their protocol, we're implementing binders. When they're doing their gut protocol, we're implementing binders. And really is, I mean, it really is an essential part of actually capturing and eliminating toxins. And the other thing too, I want to say is I do like to kind of rotate binders too. And that's something to keep in mind too. Like if you take one and for some reason you just feel like total trash and you're like, I can't take this, then try a different one. And I will say, like, yes, I've had plenty of clients that have side effects from taking, and I don't necessarily, it's not, here's my take on it. When my clients have side effects, I don't think it's necessarily a side effect to the specific binder, but it's what the binder is doing in the body. And so most of the time, I'd say 99.99% of the time, we can just kind of back off a little bit, kind of slow it down, and then eventually the body kind of catches up and it ends up being fine. But, once in a blue moon, like I could think of literally counting like on one hand, maybe three clients that we've had to just change it all together. And really it was just for their patience. Like if it's a matter of you like throwing in the towel, like forget this, I'm not doing this protocol, then change it. Like, and that's for me with my clients. Like if they're like at their wits' end and they're fit, like I can't, then we'll change it. Just try a different one. And the other thing I like, or the other time I like to use binders, and when you're exposed to toxins. So, like I said, if you've had like a poor quality meal, you suspect food poisoning, you go out of town and you eat maybe not the best, or you're like, I don't really know where that any of that food came from it, right? So when you've been exposed to toxins, this is a great time to add binders. Like when I'm doing my parasite protocol, parasite cleanse after I've traveled or whatever, adding in the binder. And then just to address symptoms of overall toxicity. So things like, and that would be part of a detox protocol, right? So if you have brain fog, skin issues, chronic fatigue, bloating, right? All of these things, good indication that there's support that needs to be had for detox and just to help with overall detoxification. So that would be the win. Now, let's talk about side effects for each of these, finishing up with that part of the conversation. Because yes, side effects are a possibility. And I don't want to scare people away from doing the work, but it is a possibility. I mean, you're asking your body to get rid of things that it's been holding on to, and sometimes, especially if you're in a parasite protocol, parasite cleanse, what happens is the parasites can get underneath this like film, but it's called a biofilm that helps protect it from your body's immune system. And this is why so often people can live with parasites in their body and they don't necessarily have like blatant symptoms like, I'm not having diarrhea all day every day, whatever. I'm not puking my brains out all day every day, but they have low-key symptoms. So it's like low-key inflammation that are causing kind of this chain reaction of events. But it's because it can build this biofilm around it that protects it from your body's immune system. Because if your body's immune system knew it was there, then it would attack it, right? So the thing is, when these parasites are in this biofilm, parasites in your body just in general, it can hold up to hundreds of times its body weight of toxins within these little parasites, right? So when you start letting them go and you start to release that biofilm, it's like, sometimes it's like a bomb going off in your body, and your body's like, what is all this in your body? So yes, you can have side effects. And I can't say like a percentage of the time because for me, it's kind of, I don't know what, if I want to say 50-50 because I don't feel like it is 50, but like literally sometimes I have clients that have zero side effects at all. And they're like, is this doing anything? Like, is this actually working? And I have some clients who feel horrible. So it's like, okay, we need to make adjustments. Let's slow down. Let's add this. Let's do this. So sometimes we just have to manage. So Let's talk about just general side effects. So constipation, it can be a common, it's probably one of the most common side effects, especially if you're dealing with activated charcoal or the bentonite clay. It's common for constipation. Fatigue or brain fog. And this can occur if your detox pathways are overwhelmed with toxins and it's releasing them faster than your body can eliminate them, right? And your body, it's just kind of causing your body just kind of a like a stress response in the body. And then there's other detox reactions, right? There's headaches, irritability, bloating, maybe some mild nausea, maybe diarrhea, right? And this is just, it feels like your body's in a crisis, but it really is just your body's way. It is a stress response in the body, but your body is responding to what you're asking it to do, which is clear these out and eliminating. So, how to manage these general side effects? Hydration. Hydration, drink plenty, lots of water to keep, again, we want to keep things moving. If you're not pooping, we need to do the things to keep you pooping. So that means maybe we add some magnesium citrate, maybe we add some high doses of vitamin C. Like we need to get things moving. So hydrate and make sure you're pooping. Add electrolytes if you're feeling fatigued, if you're feeling, I mean, add electrolytes either way. I'd say just add electrolytes either way. And then supporting your detox pathways. So incorporating things like dry brushing and lymphatic drainage, right? Helping your lymphatic system movement, moving your body, Epsom salt baths. There's a detox foot bath I give my clients a recipe for, right? Just helping your detox pathways in whatever way you can. Adjusting the dose, which I've already mentioned, but just reiterating, starting small and then knowing you can go back if you feel like your body's getting overwhelmed, go back and go back to the smaller dose. And then also, I think another important thing to mention here is pairing it with some gut supporting supplements. So we want to support the gut while we're detoxifying because your gut's having to do a lot of the work too here. So your magnesium is important. Maybe it's aloe vera. Maybe you have a supplement. There's one that I like called, I think it changed the name, mucosa. Anyway, I'll put a link in the show notes. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but it has multiple. It has like L-glutamine, aloe vera. It has a handful of things that help with gut support and supporting, your gut lining, overall gut health. But just keeping your gut supported as much as you can because we are asking it to do some work too. So let's talk about specific side effects for each binder. Activated charcoal, constipation, or black stools. And don't be alarmed if that happens because it's literally black. Like if you see an activated charcoal, it looks like actual charcoal. Like it's black. So it's usually made from coconut and it's black, very black. So don't be alarmed if your poop is black. Constipation is the most common and it's really just increasing water intake, making sure you're getting plenty of fiber. Like I said, if you feel like you are constipated, maybe adding something like magnesium citrate or high levels of vitamin C to help move things along. Bentonite clay, constipation, as I mentioned, and just kind of a heavy feeling in the gut. Like it's literally clay. You're putting clay in your body. Like you think about clay, clay is heavy, and sometimes it can kind of feel heavy in your body. So same as before, just making sure we're getting plenty of water and then making sure you're getting plenty of fiber and maybe adding some fiber-based binders to this. So maybe adding the psyllium husks, that kind of thing, just to promote that regularity so we're not getting constipated. Chlorella, I would say there's not a whole lot of symptoms that can occur here, but sometimes people might have like just some mild digestive upset when starting out, but starting with the slow dose is fine. And if you feel any sensitivity, right, then back off. But I would say chlorella overall pretty safe. For zeolite, also very, very rarely, I've never had clients actually, not me, knock on wood, I never had clients with side effects, and then it very rarely has side effects. But again, just from the overall detox. I think, like I mentioned before, I think this is probably the most common thing that happens is just overall symptoms of detox, not necessarily because of the specific binder. So I think that's what happens with zeolite. Fiber-based binders, like remember we're talking things like psyllium. The bloating is probably the main thing, bloating and gas, especially if you're not used to eating fiber or if you're increasing your fiber intake too much. And I tell people the same thing too when I'm telling them to increase their fiber intake. You got to do it slowly. Like you're asking your body to break more things down than it's not used to breaking down. So bloating can be super common. So if you've experienced bloating when you're adding in things like psyllium or whatever fiber-based binders you add in, I would say go back off a little bit, like lessen the dose, and then add so much hydration. You need more water, more water, more water, more water. It's going to help. But it really probably needs to be both of those, like going down on the dosage and adding more water. And then just start small and work your way up, and just be mindful of your fiber intake throughout the day too, that you're not doing too much fiber too fast. Modified citrus pectin, sometimes you can experience bloating because it does typically have a little bit of fiber, depending on where you get it from, a little bit of fiber added in. So sometimes you can experience bloating. Just making sure you're taking it with water, drinking plenty of water, and taking on an empty stomach is typically will help manage those symptoms, and just starting small, right? And then with humic and fulvic acid, this again, kind of like zeolite, I've never had anyone like, I think this is probably one of the most well tolerated binders. And so I don't foresee any side effects. But if you do experience them, just take precautions like I've mentioned before with going back on the dose, hydrating, all the things. So that is all you need to know about binders. Right. So I just covered a lot of them there. There were seven main ones that I talked about. And I think the big takeaway I want you to have for this episode is these binders, whichever one you choose, really are a super powerful tool for just supporting your body's overall detoxification process. They're effective, they're versatile, and I like the amount that we get to choose from, right? There's so many of them out there because you can tailor it to your unique needs, to your unique body. And there's so many different options if you do have trouble with one, right? So just remember to choose the right binder based on your goal, right? We have whatever the goal is, whether it's overall, gut health, you have a parasite protocol, detox, heavy metals, like have the goal and make sure you're choosing the right binder for your goal. Take them in the right way. So, right, if it's one of those I mentioned, take on an empty stomach or away from other supplements, just make sure you're doing that. So we're taking them at the right time. Start slow and stay hydrated. That's the best advice I can give you for any of these to help avoid or at least mitigate side effects. And just do your research. So I'll put some links in the show notes. Obviously, if you have other questions, you can shoot me an email. You can shoot me a message on Instagram, questions about the binders if you want other, brand recommendations or whatever. But I'm going to put some links in the show notes for some of the brands that I like. The modified citrus pectin, the humic fulvic acid, the activated. I'll put some links there so you can just have some. And I'm also going to put a link to, yeah, I'll put this link in the show notes too. I'll put a link to Cellcore with my patient code out in the down in the show notes too, because I mean, gosh, y'all, their supplements are incredible. And yes, there's a lot there, and especially for the past couple of years, they've really expanded how many supplements that they have. But if you go in, I'll put a link to this. There's a couple specific ones I'll put links to in there, so you're not going into their store and you're like, oh, I don't know what to get because it's a lot. And I'll put the patient code. You do have the patient code to check out, but their stuff is so good. And they use such good quality. The humic fulvic acid and that carbon therapy they have is just really good for detox. So I'll put a couple links there as well. And of course, if you found this episode helpful, share with somebody who will benefit, and do your research. Listen to this and take notes again if you're going to go on your own with some detox and use some of these binders. And shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know how it goes. See y'all next time.